Namaskar and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sattology, debunking mythology. Sattology means science of truth or study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which means science or study of fake lie or imagination. Sattology builds your identity and mythology destroys your identity. The word mythology, if you use for any of the Brahmic cultures, say biblical mythology or Islamism mythology or Judaism mythology, then people get really offended. But I have seen Hinduism, but the word Hinduism itself is a very derogatory term, because when you attach ism to anything, it becomes practically a mental imagination. You know, is people should not use it in English language, but anyway, people use it. But the word mythology was coined specifically for India or the native cultures which were more advanced than the Western civilization. So today I have a very, very special guest, and we're going to discuss a very important topic on the science side from the Shastra. So let us welcome Dr. Keshavanand Das.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So,
Yeah.
so one thing
So
is there,
here,
let me just tell the audience about you, that you run a Gurukul in India, multiple Gurukuls, I think 11,
dozen, one dozen,
one
12
dozen, 12
Gurukul.
now. And also people who would like to support Dr. Keshavanand Das, I can give you the link below, so you can contact him and you can help them in their activities. So today we are talking about the science issue. One thing, science. You're saying something, Prabhu. You can please. You're saying
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Generally, what we've been taught in our childhood and what we know in our adulthood and what we die with in our oldhood is with the idea that Earth is a sphere and Earth is rotating with particular speed. Some say 64,000 kilometers per hour, some say 1 lakh kilometer per hour. With whatever different calculations, scientists come up with one particular speed with which Earth is rotating. Fine. And there is also a belief, not just belief, a widespread belief, not just widespread belief, but there is a teaching with the belief that Earth is a sphere and floating in space. So, first of all, with this, from where this idea came, this idea started where Galileo came in the picture. And Galileo said that Galileo the first, he was the first one who said that Earth is round and Earth is moving. Fine. And then there were a series of scientists who started supporting it, and the whole idea came up. Now, uh, if you dig into the past, very well, we go in the past, then we see that, yes, before Galileo, people used to think that Earth was flat. And if you go at particular point on Earth, you will fall off. From there, you will fall off. And this was the idea in Judaism. This was the idea in Christianity. This was the idea in mm, Quran and many Hindu scriptures. Same idea was there. And when this new concept got introduced, that Earth is fair and it's rotating, it was taken in a very new light, and the whole things got changed, and eventually people came with a globe, and the globe was uh, being taught that Earth is globe, and the whole thing was spread. Now the whole thing is that people laugh at the idea that Earth was flat, and at one point of time, if you go to the particular place, you will fall off from there. So we see that religions all over the world have had a common understanding that Earth is flat and it's not moving. And science came up with a finding, with a uh, with an idea that Earth is a sphere, and this was what going on currently also. So here we are not taking any of the sides, but we are openly we will try to analyze both the sides, this side and that side. We will be open to analyze with no presumptions, prejudices on any other side. So let us go to science. So when the scientists say that Earth is fair and it's moving, then there was a need to there was a need to have an experiment to prove this hypothesis. Because in science we know four things are there. You first put a hypothesis. First you have an observation. With the observation you make a hypothesis. So what was the observation? That okay, the sun is moving, sun is rising, sun is setting, stars are moving. So with that observation, there was a idea that okay, that Earth is flat. This was the first observation. But later the scientists came up with a no, Earth could be also moving, and maybe the all the other things may be stationary. Heliocentric theory, from geo to heliocentric theory. When they came up with the second theory, then the with second then there was a need of experiment. Observation was there, hypothesis was there, then third thing was the experiment which was required in scientific field. And from experiment the hypothesis was there will get confirmed. So they were looking for experiment to prove that Earth is moving. So first of its kind was Michelson Morley experiment. Michelson Morley, he was uh, he was a great scientist of his time, and they made this fringe experiment. There was the four labs. They made four big labs in Europe, which was around 20 kilometers apart. One lab A, then lab B is 20 kilometers from lab A, lab C, which is another 20 kilometers from lab B, another lab D, which is another 20 kilometers. Like that, four big labs were made. Similar kind of experiment was done also done for finding the speed of light. What is the speed of ray of light? So they made such big experiments in four different places. So one common experiment was done, and then the fringes were studied. The fringes, the patterns which came out were studied. And when the pattern was studied with this big experiment being done, Michelson Morley calculated the speed of Earth with those experiments, which came out to be 2 kilometers per hour, which was totally against the common belief in the science that it should be 1 lakh kilometer per hour. If that requirement was 1 lakh kilometer per hour, how could it be 2 kilometers per hour in the experiment? So there was a big question which got arise that how to find out the actual speed of Earth. So many scientists came up with many experiments, but they could not prove the test of time. Finally, Sagnac, Sagnac, my pronunciation may be a bit different, but Sagnac came with an experiment. That is Sagnac's. He did the same experiment, but he got it little bit a bit of modification he did in the experiment. What he did with all the four different labs in four different parts of Europe, he said instead of four different labs and apertures and apparatus in four different places, let's mount everything together in a single mounting table, so that to avoid the errors, like many errors are there which can be avoided. To avoid those errors, they did single mounting table experiment with Sagnac doing it to avoid the error. He again got the fringes, again got the light patterns, and then he got the calculations. And when the calculations came up, he got the speed of Earth at 0 kilometer per hour. Please note 0 kilometer per hour. That was the speed Sagnac got. Then Sagnac, he gave our respected Sir Sagnac, he gave a equation, Sagnac's equation. And the Sagnac's equation is the one by which all the satellites they fly in the sky with the same equation. Whenever there is a launch of satellite, whenever there is a matter of going into the space, they must take in account Sagnac's equation. And the equation says there is no speed to Earth. It has zero speed. Zero means no. I think that's very clear. Zero means no speed. That's what Sagnac equation says. But it works. It flies. It makes the plane go in the sky. It makes not plane. It makes the satellite go in the sky. Sorry. Then then people ask. Then the Earth. We see that when the satellite pictures are there, Earth is moving. When the satellite takes the picture, satellite itself is moving. So it will the moving camera will give a moving effect. That's very normal. Now the question comes: whom to believe? The satellite pictures which is moving or the equations which are made in the ground? So question is who is interpreting is also question. So with the equation, then they came up with a third experiment to find out the speed of Earth. So they got Fauci's pendulum, FAUCI, Fauci's pendulum. What the pendulum says? It says that Earth is there. They assume that Earth is a sphere, and if it is a sphere and it's moving, then it will have its magnetic flux, because any sphere which is moving, any particle which moves, it creates a kind of current around it, and that current has a flux. Means if a moving particle will have a moving flux, a current will come around, and with that current, if that center of current is moving, that means the object is moving. So they found with Fauci's pendulum that yes, the magnetic axis of Earth is moving. Sometime it is here, sometime it is there, sometime it is there. So it is moving. That means that Earth is moving. So it was an indirect experiment. Please understand the type of experiment which is Fauci's pendulum is. It is not a direct experiment to observe the speed of Earth with but it is an indirect inference experiment. Means you do some particular thing and the inference you analyze, interpret, and then you get the result. But it is not a direct experiment to find out the speed of Earth. So it's like when you have X-rays. Say there is a X-ray plate. X-ray plate is there, and then X-ray is falling. But you can't see X-rays, but you can see the effect of the X-rays on the plate. And with the effect, some bones are there, some teeth are there. You understand that yes, X-ray was there. This is what it is, not direct, but it is indirect. Similar in the case of atoms, when we see atoms, there is a pattern that we see, but we don't see atoms. We see a picture of atoms with the particular kind of plates. We see the pictures of those atoms. So they are called indirect experiments. Like in medical field, I'm from MBB, I'm from medical field, so I'll tell you medical example. Direct experiment means when you want to check blood pressure of a patient. So you take a sphygmomanometer, you open it, and then you start tie the whole thing here and put the stato here, and then start doing this pumping, and the mercury in the meter machine, it goes up. So when you directly see the mercury, it becomes a direct observation of blood pressure. But instead of that, sometimes there is a, like the modern machines for checking blood pressure, which we see like small double kind of thing, a small box is there, and then you just press and it does something, and it just shows you the digit 140 by 90. So that is just a digit. You don't see actually mercury going anywhere there. You see mercury going up is analyzed by a machine. So this is called indirect observation. So in the ICU, where, there is a very high risk patients are there, there the doctors also keep a direct measurement of blood pressure, sphygmomanometer, so that if the machine can give an indirect, machine can have battery problem or any problem, but with that problem we cannot risk the life of a patient. So there is a direct machine which we always keep in the ICU setup, especially where we directly check the blood pressure, because we want to inject life-saving drugs here. It's a very serious matter. We cannot be relying upon such machines which are indirectly giving some interpretation. So we keep direct machines. So Fossey's pendulum was a was an indirect observation pattern, and by which we can find out that earth, if earth is moving, the magnetic flux will move. So what you are observing is magnetic flux, the center of magnetic flux around earth. You are not actually, from any point you are actually measuring the speed of earth. You are you are finding out the magnetic locus of earth. But then when the other group of scientists raised a voice and said that if an object is earth here, it has a magnetic flux here. If another moon or something like that is moving around, their magnetic flux will also influence this magnetic flux locus. So the locus will keep changing. So the locus will keep changing because many objects are also moving around earth. So whether earth is moving or not moving, if some object is moving around earth, that will also give the same effect. So Fossey's pendulum just proves that that magnetic focus is moving because of either this earth or because of some objects around earth which are moving. It doesn't necessarily proves that only earth is moving, and neither it gives any direct confirmation of speed of earth. It doesn't calculate any speed. We see Sagnac equation and we see in Michelson-Morley experiment, they were directly counting the speed. It was experiment directly with the speed of earth. It was not about moving, it was about estimating that speed is moving. It's like when you say car is moving, that you and me can say. But you will see the meter, you see that okay, the car is moving with 80 speed. So the 80 speed is actually, it can be judged by a particular, a very advanced machine. But car is moving, not moving, can be said by any man. So here, with these three main famous experiments, science is unable to give a solid experiment. I'm not saying a logic, I'm saying experiment by which it can prove the exact speed of Earth. Rather, it has just got proved other way. Now it comes to logic. So logic is given that okay, if it is not there, then how the morning and evening is happening, how this is happening, how that is happening. That is logic. We agree with the logic. You can prove this way, or with the logic you can prove that way also. If you keep Earth stationary and if you move the sun also, then also same thing will happen. So the logic supports both sides. Logic supports stationary earthers and logic will support the dynamic earthers. So both side logic will get supported, provided what you want to prove. But if we get a solid experiment from science, that yes, this is the experiment and now has proved, then it is very much appreciated that yes, now it is proved and we can accept it wholeheartedly. But since it is not available, science is uh, still in a way to find out a more solid experiment to prove this. So we have to also think the other side, the other paksha, what they are saying. And when we want to see that, then definitely the the books which are the traditional books, especially the Vedas, the the books of uh, Judaism, uh, Jenda Vesta, also we see Christianity Bible. All these books, they commonly unifyingly say earth is stationary. Hare Krishna. So I like to take questions if you have. What is? I just gave a food for thought, and it may not be just food. It was a bulk of food for thought. It may be too much food for thought. So I'm just saying. My request is just be open. I'm not saying that I am saying that Earth is moving or Earth is not moving. I am saying if there is this experiment, we should be looking for it. There should be more scientific discoveries before saying that Earth is moving. Maybe Earth is moving. Maybe Earth is moving. But there should be more solid scientific basis to say this. Then when the scientists say logic, then logic actually not science. Science means four things. In the beginning, I said observation, experiments, observation, hypothesis, experiments, and confirmation. If these four things, four elements are there, it will be called science. When you give logic, it is darshan shastra. It is philosophy. It is nyaya. Logic is a different subject. It comes under arts. Logic comes under arts. What you call it today's art? Some different name they call.
Humanities.
But humanity, yeah. Logic comes under the subject of humanities. But uh, science is these four things. That first you observe, then you give a hypothesis, then you give an experiment, then you give a confirmation. If four things are missing, it is not science. This is what scientists say. This is what science say. So with the theory of science, I am saying let the hypothesis which they have and let the observation which they have should get supported by their experiments and then confirmations.
No,
That's it.
the our Nyaya Shastra describes Vigyan as Pratigya, Hetu, Udaharan, Avagaman, Nigaman. Five
Hmm.
aspects of science. So where you make a statement and then you analyze the statement. And then Pratyaksha Anuga, three Praman also, Pratyaksha, Anuman, and Agama.
Yeah.
So
Yes. Yes.
Praman and logic is there in our Shastra also. And a very interesting theory, which since you said it, now I'm also forced to think now. The SpaceX, I have seen many SpaceX launches. And I was invited to one of them, but others I just go outside the base and see because it's just interesting to me to see this rockets go up and rockets come down. But I have seen that in the new technology, they do not take the Earth's rotation into account. So this rocket goes up and the rocket comes down straight up, down. No more now, they're not dropping in the ocean anywhere. They just come, the cylinder comes down and lands after releasing the satellite in the sky. And which also shows, which you're saying that if the Earth was moving, then how much calculation they have to do so that they can calculate the Earth's rotation, or maybe they are not going into. And new theories has been come that PSLV band, which is polar satellite launch, polar satellite range, and then GSLV, which is much higher up. They up to 36,000 kilometers up. They go up to put the satellite there. So how do you see that if the Earth is rotating, then how do you see, uh, you know, so my question is like, where does this experiments which you just mentioned right now, different scientists, if the Earth was is stationary, then all those experiments sound valid. How can the satellite be just launched over India and it stays there? How can the satellite be just launched over US and stays there? How can the satellite be just launched over? There are some satellites who move across the Earth. PSLVs, they move all over the Earth. Like US has around 4,000 satellites which are owned by the US military. India has almost 2,000 now, not less. India is not far behind, almost 2,000,
Mm.
out of
Yeah.
which around 200, 300 are military satellites. So
Mm.
tell us, like, how this is possible.
Good question. Actually, this question is to the scientist, not to me. I am saying a very simple thing. My point is very simple that it's science who is saying that Earth is moving. That's they are teaching. So I am just demanding a valid experiment which says it, which proves it. When I ask for experiment, people tell me logic. Whenever I ask for which experiment, people give me a logic. Now, my point is, we are dealing with science. We should have observation, hypothesis, experiment, and confirmation. If these four things are given, I'll accept it as scientific. Till the time, I'll be open to both theories, this theory also and that theory also. So I'll see that what are good things with their theory. Till the time, I will also see that whatever they are cross checking, cross examining this theory. So in YouTube, you will get many videos where these people are saying that Earth is not round only, Earth is flat. And there are, you just search on YouTube, Earth is flat, you will get thousands of videos. You will get. I'm not getting into that controversy. Earth is flat, Earth is round. I am just saying that since you don't have an experiment, why you're giving a logic? Being a scientist, why can't you create an experiment by which you prove it? My question is very simple. Give me the experiment. If you give me experiment, I'll call you scientist. If you give me logic, there are flat earthers, they have their logic. Round earthers, they have their logic. Flat earthers will say that, from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Australia is very near. But why the flights will go through all the way, crossing through Europe and going? Because the Earth is not like this. Earth is like flat, so that these are far off places. They are liars. They are liars. Not you will not get a single flight going from Rio de Janeiro to Perth or Melbourne on the Australia. If you see, the distance is quite near. Australia and Brazil, they can maybe 8 hours of distance or something in flight. But generally, it takes 30 hours or more than that. It crosses everywhere through. There no single flight will get direct flights. So they have their logic. When you see your logic, then I'll see their logic also. Because I'm open. I'm a modern man who is open to all theories. So because I'm open, I'll accept their theories also. I'll accept your theories also. So when I see this, some of their theories also sound very, very strong and very validating to me. So I'll be open to them also. Yes, Hare Krishna.
You're right, because if you look at I'm again referring to the Google Earth, and people can look at the Earth also. South America, Antarctica, and Australia. New Zealand is very close, around 800 miles from Antarctica,
Yeah.
and or maybe less than that. And then straight away, if you look at from the bottom globe, people can check it out, because for my books, I really research Google Earth. I use a lot. So it goes south point of the South America and Antarctica and New Zealand. Not much distance, 3,000 miles or 4,000 miles. You're right. And and then if you cross over, so there both ways. And very interesting, Agastya Muni had two ashram. One was in India, Vindhya, south of India, Janasthan. And below, it mentions below Lanka, there is a small island which is now owned by French. It's called French military base. It's a French military base right before Antarctica. That island is also owned. And the description given in Ramayana is that the mountain rises from the ocean like a pillar, and on which Agastya Muni used to do tapasya sometimes. So Agastya Muni, so people just restrict our Rishi Munis to just one area. But that is a modern colonial thought. But before that, everything was owned by or controlled by kings from Hastinapur or Ayodhya. So that is also there, a very stark reminder. Then the south of Dwarka is mentioned in island, which is of 7 colors. And even today, if you look at from Zoom, and there are some other pictures available right now, it is submerged, but generally it is very to the surface right now. Like generally it is to the, sometimes it comes up, sometimes it goes down, because based on the water level rise. When it comes up, it's an island of multiple colors. Even today, it's right in the Sindhu Sagar. Sindhu Sagar is the original name of Arabian Sea, but the Sindhu Sagar is right there. And there are many things there which are there in our Shastra, which are strikingly correct. And also the description of the directions are, the elephants are holding the east, and the Virupaksh is on the east and north and south and the west, which is again common. There is another interesting study of Native Americans, which again hold the same view. The earth is stationary, and we'll come to next show on this one, flat or that controversy. Right now, we'll just
Yes.
focus on the rotation. But there, the Native Americans say that the Earth is held by a tortoise, and below the tortoise is a large ocean. That is their ancient belief, and that is maintained by Uruguay's tribe. That is maintained by many tribes of south of Americas, which is in Latin America, which is Latin America is not the word I would like to use because the word America itself is Portuguese. So the now we call it South America. So maybe South America, that the all the tribes have the same conception that the earth is held by a tortoise, and below that is a deep ocean. Now, which is very similar to Kurma, and we can connect it to our culture as well. So, but the rotation of the earth, like if I was sitting on a such a fast moving earth, I always question myself, if I was sitting on such a fast moving rotating earth, how much vibrations will I feel, whether it's a space or not? Because like, yeah, I have seen videos of spaceship, people are in the spaceship, and they don't feel any vibration because they say there is no atmosphere, there's no resistance, nothing they feel. But even in that movement, there are restrictions that don't go to certain part of the spaceship, because you will feel the vibration. You will not, you will have to, so therefore the satellites or the spaceship is made in a very strong, tightly vacuumed environment. So is that the reason, while if the earth is rotating, that we are in a vacuum kind of atmosphere, that we don't feel anything?
Uh, if Earth is rotating, are we in a? These are all logics. We can always discuss on these logics. I'm saying still it is a logic. I'm not saying that I am this side or that side. I'm just saying still it is a logic. Because if I say that we are not feeling vibration, a scientist can always give a counter argument, which may say something, some theory which they can propose, which they are again they have not actually witnessed those theories. So now question is, how long we go with the battle of theories? How long we are going with the battle of logic? I say end this battle. End the whole battle of Earth is moving, not moving. Just do a experiment and come up with the final thing. Tell us that this is the experiment being done and we have found out this, and we'll be satisfied. We don't want anything else. We are just expecting an experiment to which gives us solid data of this is the speed 100 km per hour or whatever. Just give us this experiment by which we also can do it. It should be repeatable. It's not that you say that I did my experiment in my lab and it can't be repeated. No, you have to do it openly. If an open experiment is there, we are all agreeing with it. Till the time we are open. Hare Krishna.
Mm. Thank you so much, Dr. Keshavanand Prabhu. And so he's a medical doctor, professionally trained, and also he runs the Gurukul. So please contact him, and he's creating many students who will help us in the future, where the earth, we are talking about the earth today. So the earth's future is going to be maintained by dharmic people who are connected to the Shastra as well as Shastra, because both are needed to protect the culture of Sanatan Dharma. Thank you so much, Dr. Krishan Prabhu, for coming on the show. And I know you had a busy time, and thank you all for celebrating Dashera. I hope you celebrate Dashera. It is a victory of Bhagwan Ram over Ravana, not the good over evil, because Bhagwan Ram is beyond good. Just you need to know, the good over evil minimizes the position of Bhagwan Vishnu or Bhagwan Ram. He is beyond any. So we evaluate in terms of dharma and adharma. So thank you so much, Dr. Keshavanand, and
Thank you.
for
Thank
all
you
the
very much.
viewers who are watching. Do join the 12 Less Debunking Mythology course. Also, the link will be there, and also join the sessions on Yoga Sutra, which will be starting very soon. Namaskar.